You're on.
All right, we're here organizing for the Sister Chavez March for Justice, Rudy. It's the 21st anniversary, and the march is March 25th.
All right.
Yeah, we've got the poster right here. This is the new poster that you'll be seeing around. Make sure that you see the date is March 25th. Starts at 10 a.m.
All right.
And we have a great calendar of events this year.
All right.
One of the things that's happening is that we have a free showing of the movie Sister Chavez. So if you haven't had a chance to see the movie at the Guadalupe Theater on March the 21st at 7 p.m., you can come and see the movie free of charge, sponsored by the Sister Chavez Foundation, the Sister Chavez Legacy and Educational Foundation of San Antonio, AARP, the Guadalupe Cultural Arts, and Avenida Guadalupe Association.
Very nice, very nice.
So that's going to be real good. And then on March the 9th, we have the proclamation at City Hall. Now that's going to be a really great event, because that's where the City of San Antonio and the Sister Chavez Legacy and Educational Foundation and the organizing committee come together to launch the month of March for Sister Chavez. So we're very excited about that. And of course, the annual art show that we have from the students from the Harlandale District that are from Columbia Heights Elementary and Harlandale High School, that they do art for Sister Chavez, and we'll be having an exhibition featuring their art on March the 20th over here on Guadalupe Street. And you know, we have one thing that we do every year. It's early in the morning at 8 a.m. we do a mass for Sister Chavez at the San Fernando Cathedral on the Sunday before the march. So this year that is falling on March 19th. It's at 8 a.m. The very special thing about that is that the San Fernando Cathedral dedicates that mass to the farm workers, and it's broadcasted all over Latin America.
Wow.
So, you know, as we lead up to March the 25th, it's the Sister Chavez March for Justice, and we're going to march. And we're going to celebrate the life and legacy of Sister Chavez.
Very nice, very nice. And then what does the local area who does not know anything about Cesar Chavez or any of his legacy, what would you like to say to them to actually give them an intake of what he was all about and what the foundation is moving towards in order to bring awareness to not only our people but our struggle and the legacy of Cesar Chavez, as he was also part of the civil rights movement with MLK and all those great civil
Well, you know, when you drive down the street, you see streets with people's names on them. Mm-hmm. When you go to a building, many times that building has someone's name on it.
Yeah.
The world is full of individuals that have done something, and we have a legacy in this country of celebrating those individuals by remembering them. Cesar Chavez is an individual that did something for others, not for himself. He lived a selfless life in the nonviolent struggle for social justice, to fight for what we all know as the forgotten people. Those people who work in the fields, that pick our lettuce and our tomatoes and our grapes and make sure we have an apple a day.
Yeah.
And we don't know who they are, where they came from, or I guess people may even think that today it's all mechanized and there's no humans affiliated with the broccoli or with the cauliflower. And the reality is there are people who historically have worked for very low wages, in many cases had to trade up their wages for their place to live, lived in inhumane situations, and Cesar grew up in that environment. Mm-hmm. And after having become an organizer, natural organizer, and having served the country and gotten a chance to go across the world and discover discrimination and discover that, hey, there's things that we're accepting over here that are not right.
Yeah.
He got engaged when he returned to the United States from overseas. And he, as he went into organizing, at some point discovered that he wasn't going to organize in general, that he had a cause, and his cause was to come to fight for the forgotten people in the fields. And inside of that, he also championed environmentalism as they sprayed DDT on top of the workers and affected the workers, and the birth rate and the frequency of birth defects of people working in the fields. I mean, we're talking about the emergence of who we know as a hero, but who he thought of as a man with a commitment to do something about the problems that he saw. It wasn't content to walk by through his life and accept that those are responsibilities of someone else. No, Cesar organized and made it his responsibility. And that's what we march for. That's what the march stands for. And of course, of the most important things that Cesar Chavez believed in, he believed that education was power. And we concur. We know that so much of our lack of ability, lack of power, lack of inspiration, it doesn't come from our inability. It comes from our lack of education. And Cesar is one of these people who showed, who taught that, yeah, we believe in formal education, but education is also can be self-acquired. He was an avid reader. So we make the connection that helping our community to get educated, not just to the life and legacy of Cesar Chavez, but with the book skills and the on-the-job skills and the skills of their rights and their labor rights, that will equal the power and that will equal the empowerment of their communities, and they won't have to live in the conditions where they believe that the bosses tell them what they have to accept. That they learn how to get a seat at the table and how to negotiate what is just on both sides. Because Cesar did have a saying that anybody who thinks that the workers are all angels and the growers are all devils don't understand our movement. And that's another way of saying that we don't fight to win. Winning is a component of fighting, I would imagine, right? Maybe not in all cases. Because what we do fight for is a seat at the table so that we can have, or so that we can exercise our rights to negotiate what we're willing to do as workers and give the owners the opportunity to decide what they think is just in terms of what they provide for us. Because we're all in this together, right? So Cesar carried the torch of not forgetting the forgotten people. He reminded us how important education was, but he also brought the real world wisdom, that this is not really about idealism. This is about functioning in this world on both sides. That the lessons of justice are not just for us that want justice in the workplace, but for owners and companies that want to do right by their workers. And that when we have that kind of a relationship, then the boat rises for all, right? So Cesar, as we march to remember him, a great man, one worthy of a street named after him, one worthy of a school named after him, a U.S. naval ship named after him. And at the same time, we march in his footsteps to try to emulate the values that we hold so high, right? So it's not just words, but action.
I'm gonna have to use the mic too.
And I'm Gabriel Velasquez.
Right.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So this is Gabriel Velasquez, the Vice President of the Cesar E. Chavez Legacy and Education Foundation, giving us a brief history on the life and legacy of Cesar Chavez himself and a little bit about the organization. So as the event continues on, we'll keep continuing to give you live coverage, especially with Jaime Martinez himself, and we'll continue on.
March 25th.